This is a short video on how to help students acquire vocabulary more effectively and in a more fun manner. By the end of this video, you will know how to help your students extract essential vocabulary from a text, and together you collaborate to build up a new vocabulary list on a spreadsheet which is pre-formatted by you with the Google Translate formula. Then you, as the teacher, will transfer the vocabulary list onto Quizlet or Blooket and play the game. You will assign the game to your group, which your students will love. And once the vocabulary is consolidated, the students are confident with it, you can then recycle it for practice. Now, at AISB, we use a TPRS approach, and I'm going to give an example with El Principito, the Little Prince in Spanish. So you would start reading the story together with the students, just so that they hear Spanish, they listen to you reading maybe, or you could pre-record the story or listen to it from a track, and they read together with you. And then you ask questions. You ask simple questions to get them to get their head around the story, to understand the gist of the text. We will call this circling, because that's the idea, to get your head around the text. And you will ask several simple questions to get students to understand what it is all about in Spanish, all in Spanish, of course. You may ask a question like, ¿Qué son las historias vividas? And we see in the text, if you read the text, some students may come up with the idea, es un libro, es una historia, because you have the word historias, son historias, or whatever they come up, whatever the answers are, you will accept them. You will accept the answers. You will not correct them. ¿Qué representa el dibujo en el centro? They may not understand the word dibujo, so you will point, ¿qué es eso? And they will recognize the word serpiente, probably. Es una serpiente. Es una serpiente con un animal. Es una serpiente comiendo un animal. Whatever the answer is, accept it. Que come la serpiente? La serpiente come un ratón, come un animal, etc., etc. So you will use words from the text to ask your questions. Of course, the students will know how to understand. They will understand question words, que, cuantos, etc. Then you will look at the text itself and the words in the text, and you will tell the students, okay, without looking at too many complicated words, which words you think might be helpful, and you will encourage them to look at nouns and maybe adjectives rather than verbs, because verbs might be used, conjugated in the past tense, or in some other forms that are a bit complicated. So you'll tell them which keywords you think might help us understand the story, and you will select them together with the students and transfer them onto a spreadsheet. So if you go to sheets.new here, it will create a new spreadsheet for you. And in this section here, the formula section, you will insert the Google Translate formula. Where it says A8, it should actually be A1 to start with. And this is the origin language, ES for Spanish. If you do a search on the internet, you'll find out which letters you have to use for each language. And this is a target language, so the translation will appear in English in the second column right here. So you insert the formula here. This is where A column is where you're going to insert all the words that you pre-selected with your students. And the words will translate automatically. So these are the words that we selected. These are the automatic translations. And you realize that, well, the translation is not always very correct. So you will, as a teacher, go in there and correct the translations that are incorrect. And you do that in front of the students so they understand that Google Translate is not always reliable, but it is fairly reliable. So in the end, you get a good list, which looks like this. This is a corrected version of the list with the words that were selected with the students. And then if you go into Quizlet and you create a new game, you can import the words from a list. And this is what you do. If you go to the previous list, you select the words you want to include, and then you will then paste them here as a list, exactly as you copied them. You do the same thing in Blooket. In Blooket, it suggests to you that you could use Quizlet, the list from Quizlet, but actually you can do that straight into Blooket without going through Quizlet. In Blooket, it will look like this. You will paste the words, you've got the list here. So this is your list, you paste the list that you selected right here, and then add questions. And you get your game straight away. The same thing happens with Quizlet. It's really cool because you can create a game in seconds. Then what you do is you can recycle. Once you've played the games, you've had fun with the students, they know, they're confident with the vocabulary, you then can recycle the vocabulary and maybe write a new story or rewrite the story, but with the words that the students learned. And this is an example of what it could look like. That's it, job done. And you may want to rewind this video to go step by step to create your own list first by yourself and then try it with your students.